Cheers, everybody. We are back. It's Bourbon on a Budget, and it is review time. We told you this week we would be reviewing 3-Chord blended bourbon whiskey. 3-Chord blended bourbon whiskey is 81 proof. It's featuring up to 12-year-old whiskeys from Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee, hence the 3-Chord, to create a smooth, aromatic, and versatile bourbon whiskey. It is a blended bourbon. A distillery is 3-Chord Distillery, produced by Steel Blending Spirits in Jackson, Michigan. Sourced from, again, whiskeys in Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. Again, one more time, 81 proof. There's no age statement, but some of the whiskey in it is up to 12 years old. It's got a mash bill of 73 corn, 20 rye, so a little bit high on the rye side, and 7% malted barley. And with a $40 MSRP price tag, it's fairly affordable. And so it's a great, we talked about this. It is a great looking bottle. I mean, this is a cool, just not your standard circular bottle that you see everywhere. Cool bottle. So check it out. 3-Chord blended bourbon whiskey. While I have been chatting my tail off, Brendan, have you been nosing this thing? Let's get into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have been.
I've been nosing it.
Go ahead, Ben.
So I would say the nose is very bright. Especially right out of the bottle. It's very bright. Maybe like on the acidic kind of scale. Lots of like sour fruits. I would say almost like a artificial like sour, like a warhead or something.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah.
Yes.
What fruit? Which are you going like with a lemon warhead or where you at?
I was doing the black label.
Ooh, the mystery one.
The most sour.
The most sour.
Nuclear.
Sour.
Yeah.
Nuclear. Brendan, what do you think?
I am getting a little bit of that kind of tannicky woodness, and then this acidic fruit that Ben's mentioning, but also I poured this about shocking like an hour ago, and I'm not gonna lie, like I had relatively low expectations just based on the proof. I'm liking the nose. I'm digging it. So it's got kind of the harsher, shinier vibes. But when you get past that and it opens up, there's like that roasted peanut, candy corn. They have maple syrup on the bottles. Maybe that's a power suggestion, but I'll be damned. I am getting sweet maple syrup, tons of vanilla as well, and then also like a honey with a Teddy Grahams, like a honey Teddy Graham kind of deal, like that sugary honey vibe too. So yeah, to me it's pleasant. I don't know. I'm digging it actually as it opens up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yours has been opening up for 6 hours as it normally does on Tuesday afternoons. So congratulations to Brendan's whiskey. All right, so let's jump into taste. I'm not going to go too crazy on the nose since you guys have covered it well there. Taste. I'll start us out. The rye being a 20% part of the mash bill hits me like kind of right away. There's a lot of the spice. You know, you think about something being only 81 proof. Shout out Kobe. Ben has no idea what that means. But something being
81 points.
One time he scored 81 points in a game.
It's a lot of points, Ben.
It's a lot for a game.
You could also be like 50 proof or 56 proof or whatever.
I know, but again, the point is lost on Ben. So anyway, you think about 80 proof and being kind of on the lower side, that it's going to be just super mild, and we've talked about other things that have just been super boring at a low proof. The rye spice does hit you right away. And for, I know Ben really likes the rye spice. I know a lot of people kind of gravitate towards that. I'm more of the sweeter desire, but I'm saying for something that is 80 proof, you need that, or 81 proof, you need that rye spice that kind of comes in right at the beginning. And that's the first thing that stands out to me. Brendan, where are you at with this taste?
Definitely get the rye spice on it, but initially I get like a lemon zest. So I think that's kind of what's standing out to me right away is this lemon zest. And then just thinner vanilla and caramel, kind of traditional bourbon notes as well. But the rye spice is pleasant, and that higher proof or higher rye, does show up.
Ben?
Now that Brendan said lemon zest, I think that probably corresponds to what I was pulling out of the nose earlier in that like acidic realm. So like that lemon is definitely there. So good job on that, Brendan.
Cohesiveness.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I definitely get a little bit of spice. It drinks a little bit warmer than your typical 81 proof, so that's great. Just because I like to have, I'm a proof hound. So, but yeah, definitely agree with TJ. Definitely rye. Definitely some lemon here. I would say it's very less of a like vanilla oak, like that kind of bourbon. I would say this is more on the summertime bourbon.
Ooh, yeah, summertime sipper.
Yeah,
I like it.
more refreshing because of a hot day. I don't want something that's like heavy caramel after sweating my tail off in Florida.
Right.
How does it finish, Brendan?
Given what we know about the proof, I'm going to say it finishes surprisingly well, like above its weight class. In terms of flavors, I'm getting like a little pepperiness, a little bit more spice than I was imagining. Maybe that goes back to the higher amount of rye spice, and that zest, that citrusy kind of vibe too, is also prevalent. So it's not doing a ton, but it's a nice finish. Got a little bit of warmth there too. Again, kind of hitting above its weight class. Do you agree or disagree, Ben?
I kind of agree. It's not my favorite finish by any means. I think this is kind of where the 81 proof kind of starts to come in. They're just not a big finish, which is typical for that proof. So kind of agree with Brendan. Not a big finish, but I'm not expecting that at the proof.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I think it falls a little bit, but I do get some of that rye spice that lingers. So it doesn't just fall completely, it's Ben's favorite word, flat on the finish. As Ben
I thought he liked smooth. Smooth was his favorite word.
Approachable.
I would tend to agree. So no, I think some of that spice does kind of stick around, and it stays pretty consistent. So cohesive is the word we use for that on this show. Throughout, that spice is kind of there from nose to finish. All right, let's rate this thing. Talked about it a ton. Talked about the nose, taste, and finish. Remember, our rating system is a scale of 10, 2 for nose, 4 for taste, 1 for finish, 1 for cohesiveness and complexity. It's kind of a yes or no thing on both of those things is typically how we score that. And then you get 8 points and you get your last 2 for value. So 2 nose, 4 taste, 1 finish, 1 cohesive complex, and 2 for value. Ben, I feel like we always start these things off with you. So Brendan, tell us about the nose out of 2 points. Oh yeah. That was a magic John, magic up and under.
Who's that?
Exactly.
Magic Johnson was a basketball player, Ben.
Thank you, Brendan.
Backfired on me. So initially, when I poured this about 12 hours ago, I was going to give it a below average nose, but as it's opened up, there's actually a nice level of complexity and unique flavors, pleasant ones too. A nice blend of sweet and fruity. So I'm going 1.25 out of 2. I think it's above average for sure. Ben, what about you?
I'm going 0.75. I would say it's very like fruity and floral on the nose. Not something that I'm like super attracted to, but if that's what you are looking for, then this would be good. But for me, 0.75.
A little bit of a preference difference there. I'm going to stick with Brendan here and go with a 1.5. I think it's a nice nose. Very different than a lot of what we have, but I'm going to go just slightly above average with 1.25 as well. Ben, we'll snake back to you. Well, I guess when to snake back to you, I'd go first.
It'd be you again. But
yeah, but we're going to fake snake and go to Ben on taste. Out of 4.
Ooh, the old fake snake.
That was my nickname in college.
This one gets an extra 0.25 just for that joke. That was great. Oh man, I think I'm gonna go right in the middle. Go 2 out of 4. It's nothing stand out. Not big detractors. Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be very like of summer bourbon. So if this is what you're looking for, then this is what I'll go for.
Brendan?
Ben nailed it. It's a 2 out of 4. It doesn't have like a super traditional bourbon flavors. A little bit of vanilla there, just a tad, but not a ton. More of those unique kind of citrusy notes there. So as Ben said, different in that regard, but nothing like super crazy either. So yeah, 2 out of 4 for me, right down home plate.
I'm going 2.25 out of 4 on this, mainly because of how prevalent the rye spice is for the proof being a little bit lower than what we typically do.
Yeah.
And then I also gave it a little bit of an extra because it is 81 proof. So it got the Kobe nod from me. Finish. Finish, I'm going with a 0.5 here. This is kind of right down Main Street to me. So I'll go 0.5 here. Brendan?
Agreed, 0.5, right down home plate. Right down Main Street, as you said.
I was at Disney this weekend.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say that. It
Main
drew in my
Street,
mind.
USA.
I knew that's exactly why you said it, but I didn't want to talk about it. And then here we are, anyways, talking about it. I was trying to move it along, TJ.
They have a good store, Knob Creek store pick that we had at Animal Kingdom. So
that's right.
Interesting.
They've got some fun picks over there. Polite Pig is a great place on Disney Springs if you ever go, with a great selection of whiskey. Ben, finish.
I am probably going to go.
You guys
right down
giggles.
Yeah. I'm going to go right down the middle on this too. 0.5.
Right down Main Street. Keep it consistent.
Right down center stage.
I'm going to go cohesiveness and complexity. I'm giving this the full point. It's cohesive from start to actually. I'm going 0.75. Sorry, I lied.
Yeah.
Cohesiveness and complexity. It's cohesive from nose to finish. You get a lot of those rye spice notes that Brendan was talking about. Some of those floral notes. Some of those zesty, citrusy notes.
Mm-hmm.
Complexity. It's not overly complex, but again, you do get that rye spice. You get that citrusy, lemony zest, slight sweetness, some of that maple vanilla. So it's not as complex as I'd like, but I give it a 0.75. So, Brendan.
You nailed it, dude. That's why I said, yeah, all excited, because that's exactly what I was going to do. It was 0.75 for the exact reasons why you had it. Ben, what about you?
Ben.
Probably going 0.5. Definitely consistent throughout nose, palate, finish. Not as complex as I would like, but that's fine.
Bringing our scores before value to Ben with a 3.75 out of 8, Brendan with a 4.5 out of 8, and myself with a 4.75 out of 8. We talked about this as a $40 bottle, fairly accessible, great looking bottle, 81 proof. Ben, you are our lowest tonight, so you can go first on this. Where are we going with value?
So I think I'm staying kind of down the middle. This is definitely a bottle that's going to give you opportunity to have a different bourbon experience than a lot of your standard, Old Forester, your typical bottles. And so for $40, you're getting kind of a different experience. That's not bad. So $40. Yeah, 1 point.
Brendan.
1 point for the reasons Ben mentioned. I would say this is to me, as I think who would spend who this would be good for at the price, who would want to spend money on it. I think that the people who are early on in a bourbon and have tried some pretty standard stuff and want to deviate to a different flavor profile, but are still kind of acclimating to proof and whatnot. This one drinks above its proof. It has different notes, as we've mentioned. So I think someone who is maybe a couple months into has 5 or 6 bourbons in their collection and wants to start taking the next step, this is right where you need to be as one that brings a pretty good value in that range in my mind.
Well, I went with, again, slightly above average here with a 4.75 out of 8. That means I was leaning to the above average side. So I was between a 1 and a 1.25. So I went 1.25. Again, I like the bottle. I like how different it is. Bringing our final scores, Ben bringing up the rear with 4.75 out of 10, Brendan with a 5.5 out of 10, and myself with a 6 out of 10. Our composite today is 5.4166666. So do your thing so you're good. But 5.42 we'll call it. Doesn't crack the big board, but we're calling it an above average bourbon. Something different though. I'm sure if you like their story, if you like their bottle, I would say go out and grab you a bottle of it and check it out. Yeah. But we're going slightly above average here. And they've got some other offerings that we talked about in the first show, in the show that came out on Tuesday, the rye, the Pinot Noir, and then, of course, the 12-year, if you can get your hands on that, or the 15-year, go after it. But for their standard bourbon, I mean, that's what it is, a standard bourbon, slightly above average, probably worth the $40. That's probably what it's valued at. And so if that interests you, if you're into rock and roll, if you liked Neil and Ari, go get a bottle. If not, go get one of their ryes or their Pinot Noirs, because that might be more your style. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here, gents?
I'm going to do a peek behind the curtain and say, we haven't tried, based on the order of stuff, we haven't tried the Pinot Noir finished one or the rye one, but based on those noses,
I have.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to both of those very much so. The Pinot Noir finished one is only $50 and proofed at $99. with the wine finish. Like, I think that's going to be right down my alley. I'm looking forward to it very much so.
Yeah.
Way to tell everyone and ruin
Sorry,
it,
you could edit this out.
my movie magic. So, all right, if you're watching this, if you're listening to it, go check out Bourbon on a Budget on all social medias. Again, Bourbon on a Budget. We appreciate you guys' support. We haven't talked about this in a couple of weeks, but again, we drink out of these Bourbon on a Budget Glencairns. If you go to big3rollup.com, on the front page, there is a link to buy them. If you buy 2, they're $20 each. If you buy 4, you get 2 more for free. So check them out. Bourbon on a Budget Glencairn glasses. We appreciate you guys' support, and we will talk to you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.